evening, everyone. We'll get started as we see a few more people trickling in. Welcome to the second night of Chelsea's Story, presented by Empty Space, Waterloo Region Crime Prevention Council, and Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo Region, also known as SASC. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pam Patel, and I'm the Artistic Director of Empty Space, as well as the Director of Chelsea's Story. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we are based on the Haldeman Tract, which is Six Nations territory, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and Neutral peoples, colonially known as Waterloo Region. I invite you all to share where you are tuning in from in the chat, which is open now, but will be deactivated during the performance. We would love to know where everyone is tuning in from this evening. As we acknowledge the land that we are on, I also encourage you to reflect on what this has to do with human trafficking. How colonial systems of oppression have pushed populations of peoples into vulnerable positions, including the Indigenous folks of Turtle Island. The human rights crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women, queer and trans folk is a product of these systems of oppression. And whether we have been on this land for generations or for a few months, we all have a responsibility and a role to play. We can't address these issues without acknowledging this land, the caretakers of this land, and the historical inequalities that have been perpetuated and led to where we are now. Chelsea's Story is only one narrative of so many related to human trafficking. And following the performance, our colleagues at SASC will be facilitating a talkback to unpack and engage in discussion together. This talkback is an important part of the show, so please do stick around. Chelsea's Story, which you are about to see, is based on a true story and was written by SHAWN McGrath from Alter Ego Creative Solutions in the UK for people as young as 12 to understand what trafficking is about and the ways in which those who are vulnerable, particularly girls and young women, tend to be targeted and groomed. In 2019, I was invited by JM Drama and the Registry Theatre to direct the Canadian production of Chelsea's Story. This version of Chelsea's Story was performed in person at the Registry Theatre, as well as William G. Davis Senior Elementary School and the local prison for women, the Grand Valley Institute. Empty Space, SASC, and Waterloo Region Crime Prevention Council are now working together to develop a tour to schools in Waterloo Region and beyond this April to continue raising awareness of human sex trafficking and online sexual exploitation locally and across Canada, while also starting this conversation with youth in order to build their skills to understand, identify, and prevent and act on exploitation if they see or experience it. Yesterday was Human Trafficking Awareness Day in Canada. It's important that we engage in this conversation beyond just one day. To help continue to raise awareness, Chelsea's Story will also have performances on Friday night, as well as a Saturday matinee, so please do spread the word. None of this would be possible without the support of the Kitchener-Waterloo Community Foundation Community Fund and Wayland Family Foundation Fund and Kindred Credit Union. I also want to thank all of you for taking the time and the care to be here and engage in this important conversation. If you're interested in bringing this show to your community, you can drop us a note at info@emptyspace.ca. Some final housekeeping notes. At this time, we will be deactivating the chat until our talkback, which will follow the performance. We cannot see or hear you, so if you do need to get up or move around, please feel free to do so. If you're tuning in on a tablet, like an iPad or a Chromebook even, you may have to actively click on gallery view if at any point your view seems off. This is a live performance and the actors really are here with us tonight. So we're embracing all the technical glitches that come with Zoom, and I invite you on this ride with us. I will be back after the performance to transition us to the talkback. And now, without further delay, Here is Chelsea's story.
Hello? Is anybody here? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm the first one. Ew! Joe!
What?
Back it up. Nobody wants to see
Come
that.
on, just a
Get out
digital
of here.
kiss. One digital kiss, please.
Okay, right
please,
here,
please.
real quick though. Before anybody comes, quick.
Mm.
Oh, it was wet. I felt it.
I'm sorry that I'm late, guys. I was doing some changes to the script. Did you get my notes?
Amy, you are like 3 hours late. We've been sitting here waiting for you for actually 4 hours, I
Who
think.
cares? Watch
4
this.
whole hours.
Steph, Amy, just watch. Just watch.
Wow,
watch.
man, you're super cool.
No, just watch.
Wait, what? How do you do that?
Levitating. Oh,
Okay.
How do you do that?
it's called magic.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a magic picture.
What is
Get ready.
it? What is
This. Helicopter.
All right. Okay. Hey. Whoa.
One more.
Settle down. Amy, Steph, Joe. All right, we're good. Okay, Joe, it's really not that impressive.
We're just messing around.
Messing around.
Yeah, messing around. Fun. You must have heard of it, Mr. G. Comedy!
Well, whatever it is not what you're supposed to be doing. How does this tie in with exploitation?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Ah.
How is the project going? What are you guys gonna do?
Oh, well, we found a couple of diaries. One by this boy named Sean and the other by his girlfriend, Chelsea.
Yeah, she was going out with this guy, Sean, and it all went wrong. So she started going online to look for relationships, but then she met this other guy.
Who was a complete.
Thank you, Joe. Anyway, Mr. G, he started using her and exploiting her.
It's really horrible.
Yeah.
So, have you managed to work on it? This is a drama project after all. Come on, guys, show me what you got.
Okay, we are working on it, but we might need you to play a couple of parts, though.
Okay, what do you need me to do?
Well, first we meet Chelsea's boyfriend, Sean, and his friend, Jay. You need to play Jay. He's 18 years old.
Can you remember being 18, Mr. G?
Say, how old are you, Mr. G? Do you think you can play a teenager, Mr. G?
Nah.
All right. You know what? Let's have a look at the script. All right. Can you send it?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay. And action. Why not?
Because.
Tell me.
I said because.
She wants it though.
I know she does. It's just, I'm not sure if I do. Shut up.
Okay, look, Shawnee, my man. All right. You are dating a girl. And if what you are telling me is correct, if it is correct, it would seem like this girl, she wants to get freaky with you. And you are telling me, let me get this right, that you are the one who's not into it. I just don't get it.
I want it to be special.
You're something else.
He's not old enough yet.
So?
I don't know. Is it even legal?
I did not realize that you were a lawyer. And that is what's stopping you, is it?
No.
Well then.
I just think that Hold up a second. I don't have to explain myself to you.
Hold up a second. I don't have to explain myself to you. You sound like my grandma.
Yeah, you're not exactly Dr. Love, are you?
Yeah, all right. See, that is my point, young Shawnian. I am not getting any action because I have not been offered any. Now, you, on the other hand, you could lose your virginity tonight. You could swipe your V card if you so please, and yet you are choosing not to. I just don't get it.
Well, maybe I don't want to just swipe my V card. Maybe I want it to be special. I'm done. I'm out of here.
To go see Chelsea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just don't do anything that I wouldn't do. Not that you would anyway.
See you later.
Whew. What a loser.
That's the first scene so far, Mr. J. I mean, Mr. G.
All right. I mean, it's a start. What happens next?
Oh, next we meet Chelsea.
Yeah, she's 15 and her friend Lauren are messing around.
Okay. Do I need to do anything?
No, you're not in this one, Mr. G.
You are in it later, though.
Okay. All right. So, well then, let's meet Chelsea.
Stop.
Oh my God.
I shouldn't have even sent it to you.
Tell me what it's for.
Stop.
The Casanova Motel, an ideal getaway for young lovers. Book now. What is this?
Nothing.
Oh my God. Is this where you're gonna do it?
Maybe.
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 It looks so romantic. Oh my God, can I come?
Yeah. Right. Like I want you sitting there, watching us.
Oh yeah. Me no think of that.
Yeah, think of that.
Oopsie, sorry.
Can you imagine you're just like at the edge of the bed?
yeah, just like.
I'm dead. I can't even see it. Oh my God, dig a hole, bury me in it.
So, is he up for it?
Who?
Duh, Sean.
Oh, right. I think so. I am.
You're not just doing this because of those girls at school, are you?
Shut up.
No, because I happen to know that those girls are full of it, okay? They haven't done it no matter what they say.
Just shut up, okay? It's got nothing to do with them. It's what we want.
Aw. Oh my God, speak of the devil.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey! Hey, Sean. Okay, awkward. Well, I gotta get out of here, but you two have fun. You two lover. Gotta go, love you.
What was all that?
Nothing. She was just being stupid. Did you get the link I sent you?
The Casanova Motel. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think it looks really nice.
No. I mean, are you sure?
Oh, right. Yeah, I think so, aren't you?
I don't know.
Here we go.
What?
Everyone else is doing it.
So
We've been over this. Are you a man or what?
I just think it should be special.
It could be special.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready, Sean. Okay, I am telling you that I am ready.
But how do you know?
Because I do. Okay, I just do. Is that not good enough for you?
No. Yes, I don't know. I don't know.
Fine. Then leave.
What?
I said leave. Go on.
Don't be like this.
Well, if you're not gonna be a man, then you can just leave. okay? I want to be a woman, and I want to go out with a man. And Sean, it seems like you're just a boy, so you can leave.
Fine. Fine!
Good.
I'm going then.
Well, then go.
I am!
See, you can't follow through on anything. You're still here. You can't even follow through on leaving me. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I thought that you actually cared about me, but clearly you don't. Nobody cares about me. I thought that you were different from everybody else, but clearly you are different. So then just hang up.
Lazy!
Relationship status. Single.
So we have Chelsea, a young girl that thinks she wants to lose her virginity, and Sean, a young man that's not sure if they're both ready.
How do you do it, Mr. G?
You are a genius, Mr. G.
Does the G stand for genius, Mr. G?
It's like you're Sherlock Holmes or something. How do you make these concise and keen observations so astutely?
Oh, I dare say it's a gift, Watson.
A gift?
Shut up! So, what do you think, Mr. G?
Yeah, what do you think, Mr. G?
Well, it's very interesting, but what does this have to do with exploitation?
Oh, we're getting to that. It gets so much better.
Or, to be more precise, so much worse.
Right. Worse. That's what I meant.
Okay, before we go on, I just want to ask, what do you guys think about Sean's character's decision not to want to have sex with Chelsea?
Well, he's stupid.
Shut up!
No. That's fair. Joe, why is he so stupid?
Because he could. He could.
No.
A boom chicka wow 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 wow.
Oh!
A boom chicka wow wow wow. A boom chicka wow 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 wow. Loses his virginity with a girl that really likes him.
Oh, with the girl that really likes him. He's talking about you, Amy.
Shut up, Steph.
So why doesn't he?
He wants it to be special. He doesn't want it to just, he doesn't want to do it just for the sake of it. I think he really cares about Chelsea.
Yeah, that's what makes it so sad.
So it's a choice that he's made.
Yeah.
And Chelsea's making another choice.
Yeah, she's feeling pressured to lose her virginity. She gets all upset that Sean wouldn't do it, so she goes online and What?
That's the next bit.
That is the next bit.
Okay, so what happens?
Well, it's a few weeks later, and Chelsea talks to her friend Lauren about it.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Hello, stranger. Long time no see.
Honey.
So, how are you?
Good. You?
Oh yeah, good. Good. You know, it is what it is.
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 So have you seen Sean?
Why would I?
Oh, did I touch a nerve there? There's no use hiding it, Chelsea. I know you were upset.
Yeah, I was upset, but now I'm not.
So have you spoken to him?
No. Why would I? He's trash. I just don't understand why he didn't want to have with me? Was it me? Am I ugly?
Oh my God, no, Chels, don't be stupid.
Well, it was something. Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. He doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, how come?
Oh, I'm getting plenty of attention.
Where from? I haven't seen you in class.
Okay, boomer. It's called the internet. Right after I broke it off with SHAWN, I made a new Finsta account. Since then, plenty of interest.
Who from?
Guys, Lauren. Good looking, single guys. I've even posted some thirst traps.
Not naked ones.
Yeah.
No!
Well, no. But they don't leave much to the imagination, if you get what I mean.
Kelsey.
What? They've done the trick. I've had guys slide into my DMs asking me to do all sorts of stuff. Strip.
No. You haven't done anything, have you?
No. Not yet. I'm just teasing them at the moment.
Okay, you should be really careful, Chelsea.
Shut up.
No, I'm not joking. You should.
Why? It's safe, Lauren. I'm in my bedroom on my phone. What's the problem? What's somebody gonna do? Leap out of my screen and jump onto me? I wish.
Okay, but you don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, I do.
Who then? Give me an example.
There's this one guy, Ethan. He's 16 and he's so hot.
How do you know?
We follow each other on Instagram.
Okay, but how do you know it's really him?
What?
He could be catfishing you with somebody else's photos.
No way. We've been DMing and he's definitely 16.
But how do you know? You don't really. For all you know, you could be talking to a 65-year-old pedophile who gets off on chatting with 15-year-old schoolgirls.
That's disgusting. Shut up.
Yeah, but you could.
What? Did you find a new true crime podcast?
It happens. Yeah, I listened to the whole series. Look, there was this one kid, our age, thought he was talking to a 16-year-old girl. She asked him to strip naked and post pictures of it. They arranged to meet up, and she told him to come alone and not tell anyone because she had this big surprise for him.
So, spill the tea.
Well, she did have a big surprise for him. She was a he.
May the best woman win.
No, it's not funny. It's not funny. It turned out to be this old guy. He had all the pictures. The old guy blackmailed him. He told him he'd show everyone the pictures if he didn't agree to do stuff. It went on like that for months.
You're just triggered. I'm not going to stop, Lauren. I like the attention. You should try it.
Oh, even if you're talking to pedophiles?
Tell you what, I'll keep my eyes peeled for the pedos and tell them where to go.
Just promise me you'll watch out. Chelsea!
Okay, I promise.
Promise me.
I promise, God.
So, what do we think about that?
I think it's really dangerous.
How come?
Well, Lauren is right. Chelsea could be talking to anyone and not even know.
What's so bad about that? I mean, it's only talk, surely.
But she's vulnerable.
Vulnerable. How?
Well, she's acting real big, but I think she was really upset that Shawn wouldn't sleep with her.
It's shaken her confidence, and she's making up for it by being overtly sexual online, placing herself in a vulnerable position that could expose her to all sorts of unsavory internet predators without her knowing. Sir, I read Amy's notes.
Okay, all right. So if you were Chelsea, What could you do to make sure that you're being safe online? You know, if you're on Insta spam or Tweety Pie, Snappy Chats, or whatever's on the go.
Whoa. It's Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat.
And TikTok, Mr. G.
Well, I wouldn't talk to just anyone, and I'd make sure my profile could only be seen by people who I actually know.
Great. What else?
I wouldn't talk about personal things. I wouldn't let anyone know my address, my phone number, where I went to school. No personal details or anything. And I wouldn't assume that whoever I was talking to was always necessarily telling me the truth.
And you shouldn't post naked pictures of yourself either.
Definitely not. As the Lauren character said, once that kind of thing is out there, there's no deleting it. Whether texted, emailed, or posted on a social media site, if it falls into the wrong hands, you've left yourself open to all sorts of things.
And it's illegal.
Legal. Go on.
Well, my brother's friend, his girlfriend broke up with him. And to get revenge, he sent out a load of pictures that he'd taken of her when they were together.
What sort of pictures?
Use your imagination, genius.
Oh, right.
Anyway, she reported it and he got prosecuted. He wanted to be a hockey coach when he left school, but now he's got a sexual offense on his record.
Oof. So that ain't gonna happen.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right. All right. So what else should you never do?
No. Arrange to meet up with people you don't know. Could be anyone.
Good. And if you did encounter any problems, like strange requests or abusive comments or people asking to meet up, what should you do?
You should report it.
You should report it.
How should you report it?
Most of the networking sites have a report abuse button.
Report abuse! Report abuse!
And what else?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
She doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
You should tell someone. Maybe a parent or a guardian, maybe someone at school. Look, I'm not going to go on, but you guys should really think about this, all right?
We will, Mr. G.
We will, Mr. G.
Don't you worry about us, Mr. G.
So what's next?
You're on again, Mr. G.
We catch up with Shawn and Jay.
Yeah, Sean's all upset that he didn't take the opportunity to lose his virginity with Chelsea.
All right. Do you want to manage Zoom?
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, just let me know when you're ready.
Ready?
Okay, let's take a look.
Jay, just let it go, will you?
I cannot stand seeing you like this. Shawnee is my man. You gotta shake this off, all right? But you are down in the dumps.
I'm not down in the dumps.
Oh, but you are. I have never seen a more down in the dumps person than you. So you're screwed up, all right? Big deal. You forget about it.
I'll probably never get the chance. You were right. She was into me and I screwed it up.
All right. It is not a problem because we can just do what my brother does. It's awesome.
What?
Guy has like this inexhaustible supply of young girls wanting to have sex with him. It's easy.
What does he do?
All right. Listen up. He goes online and he does a search for young girls in the area that are single, right? Slides in their DMs, flirts a bit, and then arranges to meet up. They meet up and he brings a gang of his boys along, turns on the charm, takes her to the bars, the clubs, places that she would not normally get into, right? Because of her age, and generally makes her feel all grown up, you know, just hanging out with the boys.
So how's this gonna help me? I ain't got no game.
I'm getting to it. When he eventually does the deed, he starts treating her all funny, right? I mean, like no violence or anything. He just starts being all like distant, you know, and just like not that into her, you know, makes the odd comment about her not looking too great until she's feeling real down, right? At this point, one of his boys shows up and he starts turning on the charm, you know, telling her that my brother is such a loser for jeopardizing a relationship with a girl as beautiful as her, etc., blah, 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 until ...
Dot, dot, dot.
Until she sleeps with him as well, Sean. Come on, keep up. Anyway, she sleeps with this other dude, right? Then he too starts being all weird with her until along comes another guy, and so the cycle goes. Eventually, my brother and all his boys have slept with her.
So how does this help me?
We could be some of the boys.
I don't know.
Come on, think about it. We ain't got no game, right? Like that is a fact.
Fact.
Now, my brother, who has got game, does all the work, and then we swoop in when she's already feeling down, right? She's vulnerable. She won't even know that we're just a couple of jerks. She'll think we're all, real kind for being nice to her. So, what do you think?
I think your brother's the jerk.
Hey.
Seriously, Jay. Not a good plan. Not a nice plan.
Why not? It's a total win-win situation.
What about the girl?
What about her? It's not as though she's not doing it willingly.
But she's being manipulated. It's not right. It doesn't sound right.
Dude, this happens all the time, all right? Totally harmless.
What if it was your little sister?
What?
What if it was your little sister, or, I don't know, your little cousin in that position?
Dude, my brother, he can be sick, right? But he is not that sick.
Not him. Someone else. Someone else using your sister or using your little cousin, making her feel worthless and passing around like she's a piece of meat?
Yeah, what I get like.
You'd what?
You know what I would do,
You'd
right?
what,
He
Jay?
showed up and look at my
Come
face.
on, tell me what you do. Tell me what you
kill
do.
him.
Exactly. Think about it. That's it. I know what it is. I know what special is. It's respect, Jay. I respect myself. And I respect Chelsea too. And your little sister and your little cousin. I respect them too. And you and your brother and his boys. You're idiots! I'm out of here. I'm done. I'll see you around.
Yeah. See you around. Interesting.
Do boys really do that?
It's in Sean's diary, right?
Right?
So, it must go on.
I think it's awful.
Me too.
Me too.
Shut up.
I do. I've got a little sister. I'd hate for anyone to do that to her.
But as the J character said, it's not as though the girl does anything against her will.
Yeah, but it's manipulation. They're playing with her. There's no love, no respect.
Yeah, it's exploitation. Sexual exploitation?
Yes, it is. You see, people often think sexual exploitation involves prostitutes and pimps and all that, which of course it can, but it can also be much more subtle. What Jay's brother and his boys are doing is sexual exploitation, even though they probably never dreamt that's what they're doing. They probably just think that they're messing around.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Not as horrible as what happens to Chelsea, though.
Okay, let's take a look. Do I need to do anything?
Yeah. You need to play Gary.
Who's Gary?
You'll see. Chelsea met him online and they got talking.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, I've seen you on here all week. Shouldn't you be at work today, though?
I should be at school today.
No.
Yeah.
You look like you should be, like, maybe on your lunch break from work.
Really?
Honestly. All right. Like, shouldn't you be at school then?
I'm cutting class. My life sucks.
How come?
It's a long story.
Hey. I'm listening.
My parents have technically banned me from using the internet.
The internet.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, they said I'm on it too much and it's not safe,
Hmm.
which is ridiculous. So I just skip school and log on while they're at work.
Like, what about your friends?
I only really got one good friend, and she's on my parents' side.
Ooh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't get along with your parents then?
They drink, they
Huh.
fight.
Huh.
They treat me like a kid.
Huh. And what about your boyfriend?
I don't have a boyfriend.
Really?
Well, I was dating this guy, SHAWN, but he wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, wasn't ready for what?
To, you know.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. But, like, you were.
Yeah. His loss.
Don't have to tell me twice. You know what? I bet you anything that he said it was you who wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So your boyfriend just thinks you're a kid.
Not my boyfriend.
Sorry. I mean, yeah. And your parents think you're not mature enough to be using the internet.
Which everyone else in the world is allowed to do.
Yeah. And your best friend's on your parents' side.
Wow, he's cute and a good listener.
Listen, I hope you don't mind me saying this kind of stuff, but I think they're all idiots.
Really?
And they treat you like a kid, and obviously you're a young woman. Look, right, I'm like not a psychologist or anything like that, but I get a feeling like your parents just, they don't want to let go of their little girl, right? Your best friend's probably jealous of you, and your boyfriend, well, sorry, I mean, your ex-boyfriend, guy's plain stupid. You're beautiful. Yeah, that happened. I'm Gary, by the way. Hey.
Chelsea.
Hey. Oh God. You know what? I'm just I'm gonna get going, all right? But it was it was great to meet up and everything.
Wait. So why are you on here?
What?
I mean, like, shouldn't you be at work or something?
Yeah. I'm just sort of staying out of the way.
Staying out of the way?
Yeah. I was supposed to take my girlfriend on vacation this week, right? But she left me. So I'm just gonna stay out of the way while she goes to the apartment and, takes her stuff.
Poor Gary.
Yeah, poor me. Anyway, like, so what do you want to do when you leave school?
I don't know. Actress. Model. Maybe like an influencer or something
totally.
like that. Something where I don't have to do a lot but get paid lots of money.
Heck yeah. Hey. I got a buddy of mine, he's a pro photographer. Like, dead serious. The guy works with like models all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh God. Look, I don't want to be like too forward or anything like that, but you want to maybe like grab a drink, like on Friday night. It's like my buddy, right? He might be out and I could introduce you guys and, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I won't get in anywhere. I'll get carded.
No, you won't. Not if you're with me. But will your mom and your daddy be okay with that?
Screw them. I'll just tell them I'm staying at Lauren's.
Nice. All right, great. Woody's bar downtown, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'll meet you there outside, say 8 p.m.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, I'll see you there then.
Are you sure that I'll get in? No cap?
It's not a problem. I'll show you the back entrance.
Oh, VIP area.
You know what? What are you doing right now?
Nothing really.
Gonna grab a coffee? Come on, I'll pick you up in my Mercedes.
Wow,
Mm.
booty. My parents will be home soon.
Don't worry about it. I'll pick you up around the corner. You can't have mom and your daddy seeing you get in some strange guy's car, right? Right?
All right, then.
All right. Awesome. Where do you live?
Do you know the new Cineplex?
Yeah.
Just over from there.
All right. Awesome. I'll be there in 5.
So, what do you think, Mr. G?
I think she shouldn't be getting into strange men's cars. I mean, how old is he?
Not sure. He's older than her, though. Old enough to have a nice car and an apartment and all of that.
So, what do you think?
Not sure yet. Let's see what happens.
I've been seeing Gary now for 3 weeks. Oh, he's great. He doesn't treat me like a kid, but like a woman. I've even stayed over at his place. It's all very mysterious. He's told me to keep our relationship a secret for now because my parents wouldn't understand and they'd stop us from being together, which is probably true. But he says that when I'm older, we can tell everybody about us because by then nobody will be able to treat me like a kid anymore and we can do whatever we want. Oh, and he's bought me tons of presents, even a new phone. I have to keep it hidden from my parents and leave it on at all times and answer within 3 rings so that he knows I'm safe. Oh, and we've been to so many cool places like clubs, bars, hotels, house parties. We've met so many cool people. Some of them, Gary says, are photographers, and they all seem really interested in me. One of them even said I could be a model, told Gary I'd be a good little earner, whatever that means. Maybe he wants me to be an influencer. Last night, I lost my virginity. Gary said it was magical. Honestly, I don't understand what everybody's so afraid of. It was easy. Gary's real mature, so he even showed me some porn online beforehand, which my dad would flip about. But Gary, he lets me drink whatever I want, even smoke some of his weed. Oh, and he gave me these little pill things. They made me kind of dizzy, but I liked them though. And Gary likes to make little films of me, you know, doing stuff just like a real actress, he says. I haven't been to school much lately. I haven't even talked to my parents, even when I've been in the same room as them for like a week. You know, they said that if I went missing overnight again, they'd call the cops on me. I said if they did that, then I'd never come home. Haven't really seen Lauren a lot either. I spend most of my time here in Gary's apartment. Some days he locks me in so that I don't go and try and find them, getting myself into trouble, he calls it. Gary says that they all treat me like a kid and he hates them for it. I don't want to upset him. I don't want to wreck our relationship. He treats me like an adult. And I think I love him.
Hey.
Hey.
What you doing?
Oh, just my diary.
Diary. What are you, like 10?
No. I don't know, always kept one. So, how was your day? What have you been doing?
Oh, just, out and about, talking to people, trying to make contacts so we can get you that job as a model.
Really?
Yeah, I told you, I'm gonna make this happen for you.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I ran into Lauren today.
What?
Yeah, I saw Lauren.
You saw Lauren?
Well, yeah, but
For Christ's sakes, Chelsea, how many times have I got to tell you? She is not your friend. She treats you like a kid. Is that what you are? Huh? You some kid? Because if you are, then, you can just get out, right? Just get the hell out of here. I'm not working all day for a kid, all right? I'm not trying to work all day giving you modeling jobs for a child. You understand me? You get it?
I didn't talk to her. I promise. I'm sorry. I walked away. She saw me, but I didn't talk to her. I promise.
Right. Okay. All right. Good. Sorry. All right. I'm sorry that I lost my temper. It's just they treat you like a kid, Chelsea. All of them, and you're not. All right. You're a beautiful, intelligent young woman. All right. You don't need them. The hell with them. All right.
All right.
Say it.
To hell with them.
Say it.
To hell with them.
Good girl. You don't need them, all right? You got me. We got each other. All right. All right, I'm going out again. I'll see you later. Help yourself to anything you want, all right? Leave your phone on and do not leave the apartment, all right?
All right.
All right. Good girl.
He sometimes gets angry if I turn off my phone. He gets really, really angry if I run into anyone from school. He's never hit me, though. Once I guess he kind of did. But he was really sorry afterwards. And you know what? It was my fault for upsetting him. I think I think that he thinks that they'll try to talk me out of being with him. But he loves me. At least that's what I think.
So, what's going on here?
He's exploiting her.
Yes, he is. He's exploiting and manipulating her. Earlier, we saw him being, kind and funny and understanding towards her. He managed to find out quite a lot about her family, her friends, her love life, what she wants to do with her life, all without her really noticing. He then used that information to befriend her and make her want to trust him. Later, we hear tell how about she's become quite dependent on him. They've begun a sexual relationship. She's become isolated from her friends and family. He starts losing his temper and making her think that he might leave her. By this point, she's become so dependent on him that the thought of him leaving is terrifying.
He's been grooming her.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
It means he's a man with a plan.
A plan?
Yeah, okay. You guys know the game chess, right?
Right.
Right. So is it a quick game or quite a long game?
A long game.
Can be, yeah. Or it could be a short game if the person you're playing against doesn't know the rules. Either way, it's a game with a lot of strategy. You move your pieces around the board and you try to maneuver your opponent into checkmate.
So
That's what Gary's doing. Setting up a game. It's a process that he's taking her through, a process that he knows may take weeks or even months. He's finding out about her. He's finding out about any weaknesses, family arguments, friends, etc., in order to create this emotional connection. He's been taking her out to bars and clubs and treating her like an adult, buying her things, including a new smartphone, which he can use to keep track of her. He's been exposing her to adult material to desensitize her, and the whole time, she's just becoming more and more dependent on him.
And the pills.
What?
The pills she mentioned. Drugs?
Right. Of course.
Yeah, she finds out in a bit that he's been giving her all sorts, like weed, pills, all kinds of things. Is that to make her dependent?
So that she's not just dependent on him, she's dependent on the substances that he supplies as well. He's got her.
Yep.
Do you want to see what happens next?
Hey.
I got your text. What's wrong?
We're screwed. That's what's wrong.
What do you mean?
You're so stupid. Where do you think all this money's been coming from lately, huh?
What money?
The money, you know, pay for the apartment, to pay for the nights out, to pay for your pills. This isn't child's play, and you know, this stuff, it's not cheap.
But I thought that you...
Chelsea, we're screwed, all right? You get it? No more apartment, no more nights out, no more anything.
Why? What's going on?
I borrowed it. Okay? I borrowed a lot of money so I could take you out, you know, so I could buy you stuff. And now the guy that I borrowed it from, he wants it back.
Well, then give it to him.
I can't. I spent it. I spent it on you.
Well, we could hide. We could run away together.
No, a guy would find us. Guy is a total psychopath. This friend of mine, he owed him some money last year, right? When he couldn't pay up, guy ended up in the hospital. He was almost killed.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. I gotta think. It's all my own stupid fault, you know? I never should have put us in this position.
Is there anything that I can do? What can I do? I'm so sorry. Gary, this is all my fault.
No. It's not your fault. I didn't have to buy you all that stuff, did I? No. It's my fault.
What can we do?
I don't know. I don't have the money. I'll just have to take the beating, and when I get out of the hospital, try to figure out how I'm going to pay him. You know,
no, you can't.
Yeah, well, what else is there?
Well, there must be something.
Yeah, well, there isn't, all right? Unless...
What?
No,
what?
Forget it.
What? Tell me. I want to help. Tell me.
My friend, right? The guy who got put in the hospital. When he got out of the hospital, he didn't have the money, right? So he asked his girlfriend, well, the girlfriend offered. Forget it.
What?
No, nothing. I said, forget it.
She did what? She offered to...
She offered to sleep with the guy. Okay? She offered to sleep with that guy.
Did that work? Were they okay?
Yeah, but seriously, don't even think about it, all right? Yeah. I wouldn't allow it.
I could. I would. No, Gary, for you, I would. If it would help, I don't want you to get hurt.
No, Chelsea,
please,
no.
Gary,
Chelsea,
please,
you're not listening
I
to me.
want to help.
Forget about it.
I don't want you to end up in the hospital.
No, Chelsea, you can't ask this of me, all right? It's not
please,
fair.
I don't care. I want to. I don't
want. No.
Let me help.
Okay. I mean, if you're sure.
I am.
Okay. All right, I'll go find the guy. Thank you. I love you, Chelsea. You know that, don't you?
I love you.
I'll go and I'll see what he says. Have a drink while I'm out. All right, gonna make it easier. And call me when you're done.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Did you see the way he made her think it was her idea? Like, this is something that she wanted to do?
It's awful, but what else could they do? If the guy's gonna get beaten up, I mean, it's not right, but I don't know.
Don't be so naive, Steph.
What?
There is no guy he owes money to. He probably made it up.
No way.
I hate to say it, Joe's probably right. It's how these people can operate. It's just one of the ways of grooming someone. There's different ways it can happen, but generally, they'll target someone and then try to identify a vulnerability. And that vulnerability doesn't have to be anything big. It might be problems with boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, parents, or caregivers. It might be drug use, alcohol use, or homelessness, problems at school, problems with the police, financial difficulties, mental health issues, loneliness, bullying. It might simply be a case of them identifying a need that this young person has. The need for money, the need for a friend, the need for getting to the next level of a video game, whatever the vulnerability is, they'll identify it and work out how they can exploit it. They'll come across really nice and they'll be willing to take their time. Usually get them addicted to something as well. They'll isolate them from friends and family, and then as soon as they think the time is right, something happens. Like he owes someone money, or a business deal's gone wrong and suddenly he's in trouble. Eventually, he'll suggest that the girl sleep with somebody, which he doesn't want her to do because he loves her so much, but there's just no other way out. She willingly agrees because she's become so dependent on him, and the trauma, it's actively rewiring her brain.
I can't believe that this actually happens.
I'm afraid that it does. It's not always just individuals like Gary. Sometimes it's whole gangs of younger, older men or women doing this to people. Sometimes it's even members of a person's own family. And whether they're working in a gang or as an individual, male or female, old or young, these people are good at what they do. They're well rehearsed and they know how to get what they want. They see what they do as a business, and they see the young people that they do this to as assets to be used and exploited. They know where young people hang out and they know how to target them. It's hard to say how much of this goes on because it takes place behind closed doors, and it's hard to identify because the young people involved, they're too scared or too embarrassed or too controlled to come forward. Often they are so controlled they don't even recognize that this is happening to them. But people need to know about this. It's not something that people like or that people feel comfortable talking about, and it can be easily ignored. That's why we're doing this project, to let people know what can happen, to raise awareness.
Well, why?
Because knowledge is power. We want people to have the knowledge and the skills they need to make safe and healthy choices, to know what's a healthy relationship and what's an unhealthy relationship, to know the importance of staying safe online, to know the dangers of sexting, to know about people like Gary, to know what a risky situation can look like and hopefully be able to avoid them, not that they should have to. It's important to note the responsibility for this kind of exploitation, for this kind of abuse. It lies entirely with the perpetrator. Okay? Entirely. At no point is a young person ever responsible for their own abuse. At no point do we ever blame the victim. There are people out there like Gary, and there are things that young people can do to help keep themselves and keep their friends safe.
It's just girls, though, right?
No. it can and it does happen to boys as well. Do you remember the guy that Lauren character talked about, the one that thought he was talking to like a 16-year-old girl online? He was tricked and exploited for months. Or it might be someone who's trans and questioning his sexuality, or someone pretends to help him through that process, or they're homeless or couch surfing. Someone offers them a place to stay and they expect something in return. There are loads of ways it can happen. Boys can be exploited by women as well as men. And that list of vulnerability I gave earlier, it applies to all genders.
Well, it's just older kids though, right? Like not our age.
The common age range for young people to be at risk is between 12 and 15 years old. But it can happen older and it can happen younger. There's no specific age, race, gender, social, economic background these people can happen to. This can happen to anybody.
That's it. I'm never going online or speaking to any strangers ever again.
No. Joe, there's no need for that either. Just be aware. Just be aware of the risks and then act accordingly, okay? Stay safe, guys. Stay safe. So, is that all we know? We don't find out ever what happened to Chelsea?
Well, there is one final bit. It's not very nice, though.
Okay. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Did it.
Good girl.
It was horrible. He was horrible.
Yeah, well.
Can I go take a shower?
Yeah. Clean yourself up. Somebody else is coming over later.
What?
I said somebody else is coming over later.
But we're clear. I did it. I slept with him. We don't owe him anything.
No. It's not him. It's somebody else, right? It's a friend.
I don't understand.
Yeah, no, you don't.
What's going on, Gary? What's going on?
I told you. I got a friend who's coming over, right? Tomorrow I got another friend. I got lots of friends, Chelsea, and you're going to be friendly to all of them. You met some of them? They're photographers. They may want to take your picture too, and you're going to let them. You can let them do whatever they want, yeah? They always want to be a model.
No.
What?
No. I don't want to. Why are you doing this?
What are you going to do? Cry? You're going to go running home to your mommy and your daddy, just you dare. I'll tell them what you did. Tell them what you are.
Oh, what am I?
Prostitute.
I am not.
Chelsea, you just had sex with a guy you don't even know how to pay off a debt, and that means you did it for money, and that makes you a prostitute. What about all the alcohol, huh? The weed, pills? You're a drug addict. You are a prostitute and a drug addict. What are your teachers going to say about that? Huh? What are your friends going to say? What are your parents going to say? And don't even think about going to the police. It's you they'd arrest, not me. You're the prostitute.
But I did it for you.
It doesn't matter why you did it, Chelsea. You did it. You crossed that line and now you can't ever go back. Not unless you want me to tell everybody.
No, please don't.
Then do as I tell you.
Just please don't tell my parents.
You know, I might visit your mom and your dad. I might get one of my buddies to crack your dad's skull open with a hammer. Or, you know, surprise your mom on her way home from work. Show her a real good time. Bet she'd like that. Maybe I'll just go firebomb your house, you know? Watch the whole thing just going up in smoke.
Please.
No, you know what? Maybe first I'll go online, post a couple of videos of you that you and I made on YouTube, something like that, you know, that would really get people talking.
Please, Gary.
You are mine now. You understand? This is how your life is now, and you're going to have to learn the rules. If you want anything, you ask me. If you want to feed those little habits that you're developing, you ask me. If you want to take a piss or go to the shower, you ask me. You're going to be friendly with whoever I tell you to be friendly with, and then you're going to act like you love it. Do you understand? Huh?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, that's right. Good girl. Don't get too attached to that place either. You might be moving soon.
What? Where?
It doesn't matter where. All you need to know is you might be moving.
Please don't do this. Gary, I love you.
You love me? Then you go take a shower. He'll be there soon. And call me when you're done. Go on. Hey, and Chelsea.
Yeah.
I love you too.
What I wanted was to fall asleep, to close my eyes and disappear, like a petal on a string, a feather on the air. Lily white and poppy red, I trembled when he laid me out. You won't feel a thing, he said, when you go down. Nothing gonna wake you up now. Dreams are sweet until they're not. Men are kind until they aren't. Flowers bloom until they rot and fall apart. Is anybody listening? I open my mouth and nothing comes out. Nothing gonna wake me Flowers, I remember fields of flowers, soft beneath my heels, walking in the sun. I remember someone by my side, turned their face to mine, and then I turned away into the shade. The ones
Hello, everyone. At this time, we will transition to the talkback portion of the evening. While we do so, I encourage you to continue to share your immediate thoughts and feelings in the chat, which has been activated again. You can share a sentence or a word or nothing at all, depending on how you're feeling at this time. For the talkback, we will be taking questions in two ways: through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and through the raise hand function if you'd like to have an opportunity to ask your question in person and come up to the Zoom screen with us with your mic and camera on. Just be mindful that this talkback is being recorded, so if you do come onto the screen, you will be a part of our recording. The Q&A function also allows you to ask questions while remaining anonymous. I will now invite the actors to join us on the screen, as well as my colleague Jessica from the Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo Region. And when everyone appears, I will hand it over to her to facilitate the talkback. But please feel free to engage in the chat, to put in your questions, and also to raise your hand if you do want to join us up here. So Jessica, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Pam. Every time I watch it, it's incredible just how different the experience can be. So just thank you again, big round of applause for taking something that is so complex and emotional and really making it engaging and digestible for folks. So I just really value that you've used your talents in such a way to create that social change. So as mentioned, I'm Jessica, and I am a manager of our public education program at the Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo Region. And so SASC, as referenced, is our community-based sexual assault center here in Waterloo Region. And our public education program looks at kind of the upstream violence prevention. How do we end gender-based violence? How do we end oppression while still ensuring that we have survivor supports available? So this evening, the focus audience was around engaging educators, administrators, and folks who are supporting youth to not only give you an opportunity, as I've already noticed in the chat, being mentioned of kind of hesitations of what it would mean for children to be viewing this play, what are hesitations about teachers having their students engage in the play, administrators, about even the process or what does it look like. So to kind of give the opportunity to view it, to have a chance to ask questions of what it looks like. And so from the onset of this production, and Pam, you mentioned your kind of historical context with it, the talkback was essential. And it was looking at how do you provide a space to really unpack it with students, provide a space to reinforce the importance of doing prevention work, but doing it from a very empowering, healthy relationship based and less of a punitive, restrictive model. So how can you engage students in conversations and bring forth content that we often fear bringing up because it might be triggering or we're not going to have the space to talk about it. So the talkback was looking at how we could engage SASC in it as the community-based sexual assault center who provides direct support and services to individuals who are surviving human trafficking, as well as doing prevention work in schools and community spaces. So tonight's talkback is going to look a little different because we want to give a chance for the audience to speak to any kind of specific questions they might have around what is it like to bring this production to schools, what are kind of the experiences that maybe educators have had, questions that students have had, but just to give you a context of what the talkback normally looks like, there would be, that's where the reinforcing of the key takeaways come from. So Mr. G does a really good job of kind of highlighting what are those teachable moments in the sections and kind of reinforcing things around what are healthy relationships, around safety planning online in a way that is connected to their kind of drama project, but is also they're seeing play out at the peer level, which is easier to kind of put themselves in that position. So there would be a chance for either your community-based sexual assault center or your gender-based violence prevention organization to highlight what are healthy relationships. How can we look at that? You know, I am sporting my pink shirt today for Anti-Bullying Day. And even those conversations, we're fine to have those conversations with younger folks. And it's still so relevant when we're looking at human trafficking prevention, right? The ideas of what is a healthy relationship? How can you have those conversations? Even when the conversation was taking place around vulnerabilities, right? Quite often vulnerabilities are presented in this way where it makes someone feel like they're to blame or at fault. But even wanting a sense of belonging or a peer network or friends, right, can be a vulnerability or a way that someone is able to kind of enter and exploit individuals. So those teachable moments can be integrated into the talkback, and then we open it up, right, to students to see, you know, what are their questions? And quite often it's questions for the actors around how did you feel? So an example might be Abby, in playing Chelsea, what do you think some of those vulnerabilities were that put her kind of at risk or made her seek out that relationship?
Yeah, I think that Chelsea displays a lot of really common vulnerabilities that make her more susceptible to being groomed and trafficked. The main one being she doesn't feel like she belongs at school, at home. She gets bullied for not having had sex yet by the other girls. And she, as she says, she only really has the one friend, Lauren. So she feels like she's lacking that sense of belonging. She's lacking attention. It sounds like her parents are not really around much, and when they are, they're pretty strict. They're just giving her a lot of rules, and when they notice that she's doing some risky behavior, rather than sitting down and talking to her about it and hearing her out, making her feel heard, making her feel safe, they just try to impose more rules, ban her from the internet, and they aren't even aware that she's like logging on while they're not at home. I think that if her parents had made her feel more safe, had given her an opportunity to share what she was feeling, then maybe they could have stepped in a little earlier. And her friend tries to, but it's really hard when you feel like you don't belong anywhere, when you feel like nobody's listening to you. And Gary listens. Gary listens to every single thing that she's afraid of. She's afraid that she's not beautiful. She's afraid that she's not worth anything. She has a really nice guy at the beginning of the play. Sean's a really nice guy, but she's so caught up in trying to meet expectations of the people that aren't so nice to her that when somebody like Gary gives her that opportunity to feel like, oh, you know, you're right, and they're all wrong, and separates her even further and isolates her even further, then it's even harder for her to get back.
Yeah, and what you've shared, I'm thinking of even last year when we did the productions and we had the night where we encouraged parents to bring their children and youth with it, and how that was one of the specific questions where one of the parents said, well, what do I do? How do I have that conversation? And so then you were able to hear from your own children or other children or other youth in this space of, why is it that I don't feel comfortable having that conversation with my parents? Or when you tell me not to go on social media and then I do, and I run into this situation where I have this gut feeling and I'm made to feel uncomfortable, or someone does something, I can't come to you because your response is going to be, I told you not to be on that site, or you were not supposed to be online.
And she already feels so controlled by her parents, right? So if that's how her parents show her love, it's not a far reach to think Gary loves her if he's being controlling, right? And it's not to say that we need to treat teenagers like adults, but we need to treat them like their age and not let them grow in a safe way that they feel like they can talk to you.
And about it being kind of an ongoing process, right? We can't wait until we all of a sudden are afraid something's happening to then want youth to feel comfortable talking to us, whether we're parents, whether we're supports, that it takes trust to build that relationship. Even with the conversations that were had with Mr. G as a teacher, who was able to connect on a different level than a teacher may have in another subject matter, who wasn't talking about things like this or wasn't bringing forward these kind of conversations. So another question, Trevor, in playing kind of Gary, what did you see were the tactics used that were used to groom or manipulate Chelsea?
I'd say all of them, pretty much. It's really coming from many different angles. Like you notice in the very first conversation Gary has, and one across the seems very social, but it's very information gathering oriented, and it's information about what are her vulnerabilities, where are the weak points, where are the struggles, the conflicts, where are the breaks, and he uses all of those and situates himself as kind of being on her side or being the solution to all these kinds of things. So I mean, on one hand, he's got physical things, like he's getting her hooked on drugs, he's isolating her in her space, he's separating her from friends and family, he's doing, giving her a phone and making sure he's controlling her communications. But I think more significant are the psychological traps. He's put himself out as the solution for her problems, and sort of put himself in a situation where everyone else is the enemy and I am your only friend, and you have to trust me entirely for this to happen and this proceed for here. And in that state where he's using all this kind of really emotional manipulation, like really getting her to feel like they're lovers and they're in love and let's do anything for each other, and he takes that state of being and manipulates into, now you're going to do whatever I want for you.
And it's so important, that scene where Mr. G specifies, like, it's never the victim or survivor's fault, right? And I think that the talk back and even our ongoing relationships with youth are so important to reinforce that message, right? That even if a situation happens or someone sends a picture or they send a video or they agree to one thing, doesn't mean that it's their fault, right? And or that they can't seek support after. I'm not in terms of playing the friend role and supporting, I think that what you share in terms of what did you notice was different in Chelsea gives peers an opportunity to think of what they might look for, right? So what were some of the things you noticed?
Yeah, there were a few things.
Go ahead.
Sorry. There were a few things that she talks about, they stop seeing each other as much. They're best friends, and Chelsea starts to pull away. They don't speak for long periods of time, which is unusual for them. She stops showing up to class, like she's cutting school. So that's very different. Even when they see each other in public, Chelsea walks away from her, when usually they would probably be really excited to run into each other in public when it's not a planned meeting. And probably something else is she all of a sudden has this brand new second phone. There's no explanation where she got it from. It's something that she's hiding from her parents. So it's this new secret expensive thing that she would probably have no way of have gotten herself. Those are probably the biggest clues that we get from Lauren.
And I think that quite often, I know myself as an educator or in talking with parents, that they think, okay, well, I saw this sign and all of a sudden it's, they assume, okay, my child is being sexually exploited or a youth I'm working with is being exploited. But to just realize those are moments where you might want to engage more with that youth, ask questions, invest more time in the relationship building, and not just assume right off the bat, but looking at those as possible things to that are red flags to consider. Samar, I think, especially with SASC's Male Allies program, that your character kind of unpacks masculinity and is also challenged at times. So do you want to talk about that experience playing those roles?
Yeah, I think with SHAWN specifically, he's someone who deep down knows he doesn't want to have sex, but he doesn't know how to say no. And it's shown through his relationship with Jay, this toxic masculinity, the continuous repetition of saying, why not, to the point where SHAWN, and it happens with the male youth, they start making excuses. I don't know, I don't want to, and this, and just because they don't want to say, I don't want to. And That's further escalated even with Chelsea when she uses the words, "Are you a man or are you boy?" And then as an actor, we built this world possibly on a sports team, 17-year-old, and there's challenges on who gets more girls. And that's further kind of pressures him into losing his virginity when he doesn't want to. And so he's in this continuous environment where toxic masculinity is so evident, and he just doesn't know how to say no. And it's something we all go through. And I think with Joe as well, him being 13 or 14, he uses the words, he's stupid for not wanting to have sex. But why does he think like that? What causes him? So it's probably from an early, we have to trace back to the thought as to how he developed this way of thinking that you're stupid if you don't want to go and sleep with a young girl. And that's where the issue arises. It's not something that just happens at 17. It traces back from even 10 years old. So that's something that Shawn is experiencing, and then Joe is somebody who can even go down the track as Gary. But then he has Mr. G to kind of tell him why, tell him the dangers of doing such things, and kind of maybe hopefully changing his way of thought.
I think that really highlights the opportunity for educators, especially male-identified educators, to see themselves as not only aspiring allies, but champions to role model healthy masculinity, right? And to really create space for those conversations. I know that in our kind of programming and the idea of bringing this play, that there was also reset. So recognizing exploitation, a syllabus to end trafficking. And I'll share the link in the chat after. But it was specifically a curriculum that from a healthy relationship-based consent and online safety kind of syllabus talked about these pieces, but also included that male allyship piece. How do you unpack masculinity? How do you look at stereotypes around what it means to be a man, but also embrace those healthy masculine traits and really show up in the prevention of gender-based violence. So to realize that, yes, we're not saying that men cannot be victims of human trafficking. We're acknowledging that it is a gendered issue, but we're also seeing that the information and the way that it was presented tonight gives male youth an opportunity to question maybe why they believe certain things, or like you were saying, why they would kind of brush off something instead of confidently saying, no, I don't want to, without it being definitive of their character or their manhood. Yes. Pam, I just saw some of the questions around the production, and I didn't know if you wanted to speak kind of broadly of what it's like, what it would be like, what you would encourage people who may be here tonight who would be interested in bringing the production to their region.
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned at the beginning, if you are interested in bringing this show to your community, you can drop us an email at info@emptyspace.ca. To give a little bit of history on the show, it was actually written to be an in-person staged production. And that was how I had initially directed it before COVID. And then we had this beautiful opportunity actually to adapt the show for Zoom. So at the moment, we're working on for increased accessibility on touring the Zoom version of the production, but we are aiming to bring the show back on its feet in a tourable staged production that can then be performed in different kinds of venues, like a school cafegimatorium or a community center or any kind of room, really, and actually be able to tour the work across the province, across the country. Empty Space is the only company in Canada that has the rights to the script. So if you're looking to bring Chelsea's story to your community, then we are the folks to talk to. There were a couple of questions in here. The cost, yes, I wanted to talk about the cost to bring this because that was a question that came up. So right now we are, thanks to a grant from the Kitchener-Waterloo Community Foundation, we have funding to start to build a tour for this April. And we don't want cost to be a barrier for bringing this production to different communities. So you know, I could say that there's a flat rate for the show, but really what's important to us is to have the commitment and the interest from people from different organizations to help us to tour the work, and then we can work together on how we secure those funds. We're looking at things like grants we can apply to, we're looking at sponsorship opportunities, doing some fundraising, and for those who can afford to pay a fee for the show, we will see if there's a reasonable fee that we can agree upon. So we like to start first with a conversation. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with us. And yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, it might not be for, well, I can't really say anything because last year I said it might not be for another year, and then it was a whole other like 2 years or whatever. But about the Zoom versus the in-person production, I can't really say for sure what the timeline on that is, but we are aiming to do this as an in-person show. The other thing I'll mention too is that it's really important to us that there are, the talkback really is integral to the performance. So we really want to ensure that we can either collaborate with an organization like SASC in the regions that we're touring to facilitate the talkbacks, or we're able to support bringing someone with us from SASC to be able to facilitate the talkback. SASC or, you know, another organization. I don't know what your time is like, Jessica, but so that's really, really what's important to us. And to give you a sense of how the April tour is going to work, we're planning to actually have staff from SASC present in person in the schools so that when the show is over, there is actually qualified staff there to facilitate the talk back in person with the youth, but also to support the teachers and the school staff as well. And actually, along with that, I wanted to ask you, Jessica, someone asked, what should someone do if they are in this position? And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about supporting school staff as well with navigating disclosure.
Yeah. So I didn't really get to it yet, but so as a result, anyone who is working from a school board who has joined us tonight, or anyone who has memorandums of understanding for their education with school boards will know about PPM 166 around through the Ministry of Education's policy and directive, specifically looking at creating policies and collaborations around anti-human trafficking. And so this is part of that piece, right? This play can be an example of a prevention tool that you utilize within your school, an opportunity to collaborate cross-sectorial and bringing a community-based sexual assault center or gender-based violence prevention organization to come help facilitate those conversations. But really that policy and memorandum is so important because it emphasizes the training piece. So making sure that staff feel trained and are aware of what are warning signs they might see, what are vulnerabilities, not only looking at individual vulnerabilities and factors, but also larger systemic factors. So looking at the impact of racism, misogyny, looking at the impact of capitalism, colonialism, when we're looking at human trafficking in general. So making sure that folks take training, that they seek out learning opportunities such as attending plays like this, connecting, but also being aware of what resources are in your community. So I put the link for OCRCC, the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centers, for various sexual assault centers across Ontario, because many communities, so specifically Waterloo Region, and SASC has a 24-hour support line that's available for survivors, but it's also available for folks who are supporting someone experiencing exploitation or are concerned about somebody, and they might be afraid, oh, I don't know what to do, or I don't feel like I'm best equipped to do that. So they can call, say, what services are available, what would be the safest approach to do something. But the schools themselves will have policies, so it depends who this, like the person asking, in what capacity they're asking. Are they asking, say, as a parent, So connecting with your local organizations that support individuals, that have services. An example, so our anti-human trafficking program doesn't just support individuals who are survivors of human trafficking. They might be at risk, there might be concern. So being able to seek out those resources, connect, get a sense of what services are available, what does that kind of warm transfer look like? How do you build trust and build a relationship so that individual, if they choose to talk to that person more, will, knowing who in your community has different resources. So especially when you're looking at supporting youth, instead of just pulling them from social connections, or saying, okay, you can't hang out with these friends, or we're questioning these people you're hanging out with, what other positive supports can you put in place so that they still have that connection, so that we're not then creating another vulnerability that someone could exploit or manipulate. So in terms of specific, it would be find your local resources, make those connections, find out if it's, are you just concerned? Do you want more information? Or do you have like very legitimate reasons that you're concerned about this person's safety? And of course, if it's an emergency situation, calling 911, but realizing it's depend on what the individual wants. Also what age the individual is, right? So when we're talking about this play, we're talking about Reset, we're looking at that grade 7 and 8 age. We're not talking about consenting adults or even consenting youth, right? We're talking the big difference between, human trafficking and sex work. They are not the same, right? We're not talking about consenting adults here. We're talking about children that are being exploited who are underage. So knowing what resources are available. I don't know if I'm just looking in the chat to see if there's maybe more context to the question.
I just wanted to answer an earlier question here too, that was about the cat. It's probably easier for me to just answer. I was typing an answer, but then I thought it's probably easier for me to just answer here about the casting for the show. So, part of having the rights to this script is also having the being able to take the care to bring together a cast that's not just of skilled actors, but a collective that is really going to understand and dive into this subject matter, maintain a safe environment, and approach it with sensitivity. So this is, why when we go on the road with this show, or when we perform it over Zoom for different audiences, this we like to keep this as a professional show with the actors that we have here, so that it's not just that they're supporting each other, but they're able then to also be a part of this talk back and have these conversations with the youth. Each performance, it's like we're just learning new things and making new discoveries, and then we have to carry that with us, but also because we're taking the time and living with these characters and processing, it allows us to kind of also dive a little deeper in each talk back with each audience. So I wanted to just take the time to iterate that here. And of course, the actors did take weeks some of the actors took weeks to prepare this for their roles. Yeah, I wanted to see, I think there was another question in here that I wanted to ask you, Jessica. Oh,
can I just,
yeah.
Can I add to, I think that's interesting where people are talking about the local context, and even how without it being actors, I know that in the past, there have been local survivors, specific survivors who have joined the talkback, right? So that would be an opportunity for the community to come into that space more so, right? So if there was someone, you're doing a large community and you had an advocate and activist who was already doing that work, could also support with sharing their story in that additional way.
Exactly. I also wanted to bounce the question to you, Nikki, of what was asked to Trevor, actually, because I find it to be a really interesting question. The question for Trevor was, what was his experience like playing the person who's guiding the young people through this heavy topic? What sort of feelings or discomfort do you think educators may face based on his experience? But I also think it's relevant for you to maybe speak to what educators can maybe, what might help them to kind of talk to people about bringing the show into the schools, or even for them to navigate this with their students.
And you meant me, right?
Yeah, I did mean you.
Nikki. Okay, I was like, I'm assuming that, yes. No, I think that's great, because that's one of the things we did earlier, or at the end of last year, was did anti-human trafficking training with both of our local school boards, specifically around an overview of what is human trafficking, what are the signs, what are the risk factors or vulnerabilities, what are various ways to support, what are considerations. But that information aside, there are things that come up, right? And I think the most important thing is to make sure that we are supporting ourselves first, that we're prepared to have these conversations. So realizing that the topic itself is complex, can be very personal for many people, and that we need to make sure that we have the support necessary. So in the same way that I talked about earlier, we made sure that all the educators knew that our 24-hour support line was also available for them, not only when facilitating the reset curriculum, but also when viewing Chelsea's story, or in the kind of weeks after, once they kind of had this information, and then you become like hyper vigilant, right? And you've got that Mercedes that it was described, and every time it pulls up in front of a school, sirens go off and everyone's concerned. But first of all, trusting our guts, to really think, okay, what is it that I'm feeling here? To be comfortable with topics, because there's nothing worse than somebody being, I'm going to go through what are the objectives, or what are my expectations, the curriculum expectations that I have to touch to get through, and doing that, but not actually being comfortable with questions, because that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to present material that is going to stimulate the mind. They're going to challenge it. They're going to want to pick it apart. They're going to want to know more. And if you're uncomfortable even with having those conversations, then shutting it down is just going to reinforce that shame and guilt, where they're no longer going to seek that support, or they're going to question whether you're someone they can approach later. So really being comfortable with the material, being willing to say, that's a good question, but I'll have to look into that more, or building accountability as a group, right? And addressing that culture within not only your own classrooms, but within your school as a whole. So what does that mean, right? Realizing that you can't have a lesson plan around consent and healthy relationships and then have actions outside of your class or outside of that period of class that deter from it. I think we do a lot of, Samar, when you were talking about toxic masculinity, we do a lot of conversations around gender equality and inclusion. And then we leave a class and a teacher's like, can I get a group of strong men to come help me move these tables? It's like, okay, come on. We were here for 40 minutes and like, we just, right? But looking at how do you make that part of your language? How do you really invest in rolling out the material on a daily basis? It's just like, I'm wearing a pink shirt for Anti-Bullying Day. Yesterday was Human Trafficking Awareness Day. It doesn't matter if you're not a phys ed teacher. The number of requests for education where it's like, oh, it fits under the curriculum expectation for phys ed to talk about this, so we can talk about it. But if you're reading a novel, you're doing a drama class and you're writing a play, right? These are all, you're doing a history lesson and you're talking about colonization. You cannot, like, you need to be able to see the connection. You need to be able to see that those are opportunities to reinforce the learning, to normalize the conversations, so that it's not just like, okay, we're going to learn about periods, we're going to learn about hormones, we're going to learn about consent, and then we're going to move on to math class, where the reality is that, you know, 95% of human trafficking victims are women. Okay, we that's still a percentage, right? Why can't you look at that? Or 4% of the Canadian population are Indigenous, First Nation, Métis, and Inuit women, yet they represent 50% of human trafficking victims, right? Like these are ways that these lessons can be integrated and not feeling like it's someone else's role, right? So just because I'm not the phys ed teacher doesn't mean I don't need to dig into these topics. And knowing that link I shared for OCRCC is that many of the community-based sexual assault centers in various regions have public education programs similar to ours, or anti-human trafficking programs similar, where they do that education. So if you choose to have a play like Chelsea's story, where you have the script and your drama class looks over it, but you bring in somebody who speaks to what it's like within your region to support survivors, or what is it like to access services within your region, those become additional opportunities to engage in those conversations.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jessica. I'll do a last call for any questions from folks. You can type a question in the Q&A, use the raise hand function, or also put your question in the chat. And while we wait, if there are any final questions, I thought, Abby, do you want to share your experience of, Abby was part of the cast that actually did perform in front of grade 7s and 8s at William G. Davis. Do you want to share your experience of that?
Yeah, so back in 2019, before the world shut down and we could go in person to places, we had this awesome opportunity to go to a school, and we had about, what was it, like 400 kids in a gymatorium type situation. And it was the most engaging performance and talkback that I've pretty much ever experienced in my life. And I've been acting for like a long time, and I will never forget seeing the kids in the audience during the show, like leaning forward and the gasps and like, no, don't do it. Hearing the active listening that they were doing throughout the entire show. And then the talkback session was so engaging. So many kids stayed after the bell. Like there were so many questions that we went all the way up to the bell, and at least 20, 30 kids came and talked to us and skipped their recess so that they could continue to talk and ask questions. And I recently was reading over some of the feedback that we got in the forums that we had sent to them afterwards. And it was really incredible to see just how impactful the content was and how they understood it. Seeing themselves represented and really understanding that it does happen to kids their age was, I think, how it just really, really hit home. I think it's so important to do exactly what Jessica was just saying, integrating this education throughout, because repetition is how people learn things. They need to hear it in so many different ways, but seeing it in front of them really adds an extra layer of really understanding how realistic the situations are. There are so many things that the characters do that kids do too, especially in these days with TikTok. There's a lot of extra nuances that we've added to the production to kind of capture a little bit more of the online life of, oh, well, we follow each other on Instagram, and I've posted thirst traps, and the performance opened up those opportunities for the teachers to have those conversations with the kids, to say things like, oh, you remember that red door challenge that was really, really risky, and people can change the settings and undo those filters. But yeah, in my books, that was one of the best performance experiences that I've had in my entire life. And I really hope that we can go back to schools, because getting to be in the room with them and feel that energy is quite incredible.
That's how I was like, oh, I'm sad I missed the in-person. Because even what you're sharing, even when we're working with youth and they can see, you run a scenario with them, you do an activity, and it's somebody else, and they can pick out those warning signs. They can think of alternatives. They can think of that choose your own adventure and where they would take their, like they would turn otherwise. But when they're in it, it's harder, right? So it's like giving them the opportunity to view it externally, reflect on it, makes it easier, not only for them to reflect when they're in that position, but also their friends to hold them and remind them of comments they made during that. Like, oh, do you remember what you said that Chelsea did that you thought was, you know, wild? Like, this is what the situation you're in, or this is kind of risky. And just based on what you were saying, Abby, to let folks know there are various ways that you can still provide that safety. I know that a lot of concern is around, okay, if you do this virtually, how do you connect and support youth? But like Pam was saying, for April, the production will be virtual, but looking at having those supports with smaller groups, depending on what their cohorts are or what the restrictions are at that time. We never know how many we're going to be able to get together, but you can have that physical space, but as well, being able to set up separate Zoom links so that an individual can receive immediate support, right? So that's in the chat. They click on that, there's someone, it's in a separate Zoom where someone can meet with them, right? So you can have your local social workers and like your mental health board team there to support, your community-based sexual assault center volunteers there to support. So there are alternatives in the virtual world, because I think people get really hesitant about having these conversations and not providing a support network.
For sure. I don't see any additional questions, but just to answer how long the performance is, because in case you weren't keeping track of the time like I do, we do aim to have the show be about an hour, and when we put it up on its feet again, that one day when we do, we will aim to keep it at about an hour so that it really can go to the schools and fit within a period. Jessica, is there anything you want to, any final thoughts or final things you want to say before I close it out?
Well, I just am thankful for folks attending, really seeing the importance of it. And it would be that reminder of we're all part of the solution, right? We all have the ability, not only whether we have an extreme talent and we're going to use it to engage folks in really important conversations, or whether you know that there are more productions to come this week and you do a simple social media share, or you plug it within your networks and encourage other people to view the play. Look at how it can spark your own conversations within your own personal lives as well as professional lives. So just thank you. And if you have any questions in terms of being a community-based partner in this project, please feel free to reach out to me as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jessica, for being here tonight. And thank you everyone in the audience for sticking around for the talkback, for engaging in this discussion. A reminder that there will be other opportunities to experience Chelsea's story, as Jessica mentioned. On Friday night at 7 p.m., we will also be offering simultaneous Arabic translation of the performance. And we also have a matinee on Saturday at 2 p.m. You can find links to register. We'll put links to register as well as some additional resources in the chat. Please, please, please do help us spread the word. Continue the conversation. Follow us on social media at The Empty Space, at SASC, WR, and at preventingcrime.ca. Thank you, everyone, again, for being here so much. It means a lot. Stay informed, stay in touch, stay safe, and be kind. This concludes our evening. Wow, people just really got out of there. Now the last two are me. The last two are me. Jessica, thank you. Sorry for calling you Nikki. That's because my brain is fried.
That's okay. I was like, I'm looking at the screen being like, I think that's me. Like I was looking, is there someone else? Okay.
Oh my God, because I was just reading the thing and I don't know, I was like on autopilot, I guess.
Yeah.
So how many ended up attending? Because I couldn't see when the actual play was going on.
It looked like a pretty consistent audience of like 28, 30. Well, people who were signed in. Julie reminded us that there are some that indicated there are more than one person tuning in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, thank you very much, folks.
Yeah, we have those numbers on Eventbrite for people who mentioned how many people in the household will be tuning in.
I
You did a great job.
Probably safe to say like what? 40 maybe?
Well, especially one of the, it was a group that tuned in as well, the Voices group. So that was probably like, I don't know, to be generous, 10 people. So probably around 40 to 50.
I believe that's Sudbury's Sexual Assault Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been in touch with Sudbury. Was that thanks to you, Jessica?
Well, I don't know. They've roped me into a lot of projects lately, so now they're on my mad distribution list. So. And there were, I think, 4 different sexual assault centers that were in the audience because we had sent it out being like, this is what your anti-human trafficking team should do. Get this in with your school.
Nice.
So.
Well, that's awesome. I'm just quickly checking to see if anyone sent
that
any
was something
messages.
before Pam brought it out loud, I was privately messaged about, tell me about your experience guiding youth through these kinds of things. And I'm like, the first thing I'm saying is, I didn't actually do it. Like I'm just, I haven't actually done that, just so you know. Let's begin there and then go from there. I didn't actually do that. So
I thought the teacher said some cheesy ass things that I was like, come on, do I really have to say this?
Oh, I still can't get over would you hire local actors? Like, how long do you think the rehearsal process is? And what about?
I read so much that's like Jessica, that's where the kind of thing where we have to do so much educating about the arts, because people think like, oh, I'll get some actors, they'll read the script through once or twice and then they'll be ready to go. And you're like, no. It takes a lot of work, a lot of training.
If you ever had like a Zoom meeting with any of them, right, you would see that there would be no way that they could actually do the magic that's going on there, because you're like, no, just give me the share abilities. I just want to share my presentation, please.
Come and find